You want to know what the real estate market is like in Austin, Texas? I'm here to tell you. Hey, I'm your realtor, Caroline Sanders, and this is where I help you navigate the Austin, Texas real estate market. The big news in the real estate world is all of the changes made from that NAR lawsuit have come into effect this month, August of 2024. So here's what you need to know. The lawsuit revolved mostly around sellers not understanding that paying their realtor commissions is negotiable. So most of the changes require more conversations, more agreements in that agent commission field. So change number one, before any real estate agent can show a buyer any property, I am required to get a signature on something called a buyer representation agreement. I literally cannot even open the door to a property before I have this signature, or else I could get my license revoked. And that's because, change number two, the buyer representation agreement's wording has changed to more clearly reflect that if a seller is not willing to pay a buyer agent fee, the buyer is on the hook to pay for it. That's always been the case, but it's just more clearly stated now. Change number three, the amount of compensation a seller is willing to pay a buyer agent has been removed from the MLS. It is no longer advertised upfront on the MLS, which just means I have to call and figure out how much the seller is willing to pay for a buyer agent fee, if anything. So what does all this mean for you? Well, if you're a buyer, be prepared to sign one of these buyer representation agreements before even seeing properties. So before we officially work together, I will walk you through exactly what that agreement says and exactly what you're agreeing to. Also, part of what you're agreeing to is to pay the entirety of my fee if I'm your buyer agent if the seller is unwilling. So as your agent, I will do everything in my power to get the seller to pay for my fee, but sometimes that just isn't possible. So in those cases, we can work out several ways to go about paying my fee. So for example, we can wrap my fee into the loan so it's not coming directly out of your pocket. Also, I just want to mention, paying your realtor is negotiable. The amount you pay them has always been negotiable for buyers and sellers. So you are entitled to negotiate, to ask how much you can pay me for my services. If you are a seller, you have the option to pay a buyer agent fee. You can pay all of it, you can pay parts of it, or you can pay none of it. The choice is yours. However, there are some pros and cons to each of those choices. So if you choose, I want to save money, I don't want to pay any part of the buyer agent fee. Yeah, you might be able to save some money, or not. There are some buyer agents who are going to call prior to touring your property for sale to find out if you're willing to pay their buyer agent fee. And if you're not willing to pay that, some of these agents aren't even going to show your house to their client because the buyer can't afford to pay their buyer agent. So by doing this, you're cutting your buyer pool pretty significantly, meaning you could end up sitting on the market longer, reducing the price further to get your property sold, or you might not even sell at all. So just something to think about. And then again, paying your realtor as a seller is always negotiable. You're entitled to negotiate how much you want to pay your realtor for their services. My recommendation is, if you're a seller, be open to paying a full buyer agent commission, but let me negotiate it for you. We can advertise the fee as negotiable with an acceptable offer. So buyer agents are all going to be able to show your property to the clients, and we're not cutting some of that buyer pool, but we might get away with not paying the entire 3% buyer agent fee. We might be able to pay a little bit lower. So, all right, I hope this was helpful. All these new changes have come into effect now. So if you have any questions or want to schedule some time with me, feel free to shoot me an email. Thanks for watching.